Hey guys, Brent Hull Build Show here at the 1928 Staub House. Going to show you some changes we've made. Notice the porte-coche's gone. It's going to go back. It's going to be a little bit bigger. We've got some framing changes, some cool things that we've discovered. I'm going to show you all today. Come join me. So we're in the kitchen, right? So this is an area where we are expanding this wall out, right? We're opening this thing up. In the 20s, okay, this would have been a servant's area. It was sanctioned off the house, right? So this is where the help worked. We're opening up this whole passageway, which I'll show you in a second, but I want to show you one thing that's pretty cool here first. Originally, we had a window that was framed in later. They changed all these steel windows to wood windows, okay, to wood-clad windows. Crazy, but they did it. We are dealing with the original framing. Now this is 1928. There was no insulation in the walls, and they had this kind of foam, kind of chipboard stuff there. But notice there's not much rot. As bad as this product is as far as the sheathing material, it was really in pretty good shape. But what's cool about it is if we go over here, and this was a addition framed in the 40s. So what they did was, when they changed the house in the 40s, they changed framing styles. So in that 1928, they kind of got that chipboard thing. Notice what they did here in the 40s, right? They put this diagonal sheathing on the thing, which is what is more typical. Now, Staub was kind of cutting edge, and some of the materials and some of the things that he was doing were advanced. And so I suspect that that product was something that was touted to him as being an insulated product, as being something that was kind of next generation, and he tried it, and it didn't last. It wasn't what the salesman sold him it was. So they go back to this. Another great architect, Joseph Pellick, did this addition, did this thing upstairs. And so in 1928, right, they used metal lath, which was actually a good material. So even into the 30s and 40s sometimes you see, and this is right during the transition where sheetrock starts coming into. So 30s, 40s is when sheetrock happens. Remember World War II. And then certainly after World War II, it's almost all sheetrock. You see on this house, they had this really cool metal lath, right? Which you can see they used a lot of stucco or a lot of plaster on the inside of these walls. Up in the bathrooms, we had sections that were, 2.5 inches of stucco plaster on the inside walls. It was really heavy and thick. But this is a transitional period. Sometimes into the 40s, you start getting sheetrock and things like that. But we've got metal lath throughout this house. The other thing we're doing is we're opening up this wall, going to expand this kitchen. And you see our LVLs now framed into this space so that we can lift this up. Notice our ceiling heights here are about 8.5, 9. In here, they're about 10. So we're going to have a drop where this header is going to go. It's going to change the way this feels. But let me show you the view on this side of why we're doing it. So we're really old school here, right? We've got the kitchen really sanctioned off from the rest of the house. We got a back stair, servant stairs going on. We've now really opened this up. This wall's pushing back. This kitchen all of a sudden expands almost by 2, right? This stair now, this back hall stair coming down from the kids' rooms will now open up into this space. And then you'll see why we did this, because you've got this awesome now access-centered, hallway, which really opens this house up, helps the flow of the house, helps the feel of the house, right? The kitchen's not sanctioned off to a private area. Mom isn't back there, or dad isn't back there cooking, and everybody else is out in the family room. This is all gathering the house, making the house flow better, taking it from being old school to being much more usable for today's families. So in this cool study, right, it's this gum study. We found this table that was built in here that was not original. It was actually made of pine, stained to look like gum. What we've got here is we've got this new porte-cochere going out this way, and you'll actually have some doors that walk right out onto this deck up here, which will be really awesome. But what you see here is we're actually going to go back with kind of a panel like that's in that corner. Underneath this original cabinet, right, we'll have original paneling on either side. And it's kind of interesting the way they've made this paneling. We've got gum stiles and rails. We've got gum plywood, right, 1928. And then you see how they've kind of cleated this in. It's kind of crude, right? But they're not nailing into the panel. They've created these cleats which allow this to float. It's plywood, it doesn't need to float a lot, but it allows it to move a little bit. And so we've got kind of a cool construction method of the way they built things back in 1928. So Let me show you the master, because in that bathroom, we uncovered some pretty cool stuff that is really interesting. It shows you the way things were built in 1928. So we're in the master vestibule, right? Remember, there was this hallway that went back to the master. We've now, because this is going to be the master closet and this is the master bedroom, you now enter the bathroom this way, right? And so we are going to have a water closet here, have a shower back in that area, a tub right there. And so, but what's cool is that you can begin to see how this thing was built. Now, one question we got early on was, why are these studs, the fire blocking in the walls, why are they alternated? We have a theory, we don't know this for sure, but we believe they did that because of the nailing pattern, that it was easier to angle it in so that they could get this nailing done. They've done it everywhere. It seems to be kind of a trait of this framer who was ever using it. Another thing he did was that he notched things almost with an axe or the back of a hammer. It's really cool. Let me show you how they did that right here. Okay, so we're standing in the bathroom, right? This window, awesome window, beautiful window, right? We're in the gable end right over the front door, right? And so that is your beautiful ironwork window with our wood window behind it, right? So we're standing in the bathroom. This is gonna be the shower, gonna be an awesome space. Let me show you a couple of cool things they did. First, this is the floor. So all this floor where I'm standing right now was tile and mortar. Now, you'll notice that the top of these joists are all beveled, okay? And it looks like someone with maybe an axe murderer, okay? Someone took an axe to the top of the things. Now, what they were doing is that they were beveling the top of their joist. And the reason they did that was because then they would float over this with the mortar, right? So the tile sat into a mortar bed. And sometimes you'll see these mortar beds that are 2 inches or 3 inches or 1.5 or something. But by beveling this, they keep that expansion and contraction from happening, and they keep the tile floor from cracking, okay? So this would have been, then they take these boards, right? They put this strip down here, and they put these boards in here. So this now is your pan, for lack of a better word. Notice it's not waterproofed or anything like that. The only thing that would have been waterproof would have been like the shower pan or something like that. This is actually floated over with mortar, and then your tile floor is put right on top of that. So kind of a cool detail. If you go into an old bathroom and you wonder why they did that, that's why they did that. So the other thing that's interesting to me is this piping, okay? Today everything's PVC, right? Or sometimes cast iron. This is actually lead piping that is then tied into, our old sink was right here. This was a flexible piece of lead pipe, right? And it was flexible and that could be bent. So it came from the P-trap, it came and it weaved around and then was kind of bent up into, we created this little scupper piece, and then the cast iron is stuck right into it. Now this has been an event, but it's an interesting way of building, right, that we would see. If you see these lead pipes, and I've seen them a lot in old bathrooms, it's because we didn't have PVC then, right? That's a 1980s, 1990s product, but it would have been all lead piping like this that would have been a vent pipe as well as a drain pipe. And then unfortunately, most of the supply lines at this time were galvanized. And so those have to be changed, because if water sat in them for too long, they will start to rust and corrode. And so good houses, we need to go back with copper, but these historic houses, almost universally, they use cast iron in their supply lines, which need to be changed. So one of the jobs we're doing is taking this 1928 house into a 2028 house, right? And so part of that was they had sectioned off kind of the help, right, which was a laundry room and a guest house with garage, and part of that was taking down this wall. Now there's this wall that ran all the way around this thing and really separated this lawn, and the owner's first comment was like, let's get this down, let's open this yard up. Got an incredible piece of property here. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Let me show you this addition we're doing in the porte-cochere. Is right over here on the side. So we're standing right in the porte-cochere. A couple cool things. One, I love these, right? Don't let anyone drive into the corner of your porte-cochere. You got the brick coming up right here. We're gonna save these. And this porte-cochere was only like 15 feet wide or even less. We're kicking it out to here and widening this footprint so that it gets much wider, so we can get 2 cars under there, so we can fit 2 cars, and it's much more usable. Look at this brick, right? Brick came down from here. Brick came off for our addition on the kitchen. Right, if you look at the kitchen addition here, this is the wall that's coming out, right? We're building our wall out to here. So this is that expansive kitchen. Our kitchen wall's right there, and I'm on this access point that looks right down that hallway all the way into the family room, which is pretty cool. The other thing that's happening is, remember we were up in that study. That study's right there. This is that porte-cochere that's going to be the deck above, right? That we're going to come out here. And if you remember my gutter video, okay, I talked about gutters and the right way to do them. What you're seeing here is this historic gutter. See that strapping, and see this down here. Now it's hard to see because it's buried in the ground, but that's what this is, okay? This is called a boot, okay? And the copper gutter comes down and sits inside this boot, and then this is all underground, right? And so this is your drain pipe going out of the way. Now, this is a great way to treat an historic gutter. You've got these awesome copper gutters. You've got all the joints covered with the strap, and then we've got this boot down here that is going to carry everything away, right? This is a sexy, cool way of treating a gutter system. And if you go back to my gutter video and downspout and how that works, this is the finishing touch that really raises the level of your building. So we're about a quarter of the way through this job, right? We're just finishing demos, halfway through framing. The MEPs will come next. You'll see us, we're tearing down the brick where we're gonna be moving walls, and you see the kitchen and stuff like that. We're trying to be sensitive, right? Because this house has been here over 100 years, or almost 100 years. We want it to last another 200 years, right? And so the products and materials we're putting back in are here to last, right? And so we're gonna talk about the roof in other videos. We're gonna talk about the brickwork in other videos and how we're carefully saving this stuff so that it can be reused and be as sensitive as possible to the past, remembering how great this house is, just trying to make it better with our effort. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Sign up for the newsletter as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of things that we're doing and posting on here we'd love you to be a part of. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.